Welcome to the Business Insider Podcast, where we interview the top business leaders in their respective industries.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Brian Marshall, host of the Business Insider Podcast, Expert Edition. And speaking of experts, we have a good one for you today. Jonathan Wolfbarron, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you, Brian.
Jonathan's president of Rolling Adz. Rolling Adz delivers branded messages with tech-infused truck side marketing and LED trucks nationwide. And Jonathan's going to tell us all about what that means. So Jonathan, tell us about your business.
Yeah. So Rolling Adz, we're a nationwide moving out of home company, which means we advertise on everyday moving vehicles. So it's a box truck, Uber, Lyft, delivery car, semi trucks. And we turn all those into moving billboards, and then we layer that with a technology element, which means that when you see on our vehicles and you're one of the qualified candidates, we're able to grab your advertising ID off your phone and then send you ads to your phone and then any devices that you're connected to once you go home.
Awesome. So before we dig in and get deeper, I want to remind everyone that if you're a fan of the podcast, you know that all of our guests usually offer a gift. Jonathan has graciously offered something for you that I think you're going to like. So for the first 100 people that reach out to Jonathan, he'll describe that at the end of the podcast. So stick around till the end. We'll give you that information along with how to connect with Jonathan to get that. So, all right, let's dig in. So tell me about the business. How long have you been in business? Where did the idea come from? Give us kind of a sense of where this idea was born.
I've been in business for 14 years. So I started in a little small town in Upper Michigan that worked in my family trucking company. And so I had the idea like, hey, we have these big empty white billboards that are driving around. Why don't we turn these into our big white trucks? Why don't we turn them into billboards? And we always advertised actually in the very rear of our doors of our semis, just because in the advertising we're actually recruiting for LED drivers, CDL drivers. And we'd always get a really good response, but there was no measurability or tracking on it or anything like that. But when I ended up trying to leave Michigan, the cold winters, and moved out to the West Coast, and learned real quickly that advertisers want to be more localized, not on the semi that's going from state to state. And so I took that trucking background and go, hey, I know where all these routes are locally. They're all on box trucks. And so we started advertising on box trucks for clients that wanted to make a bigger presence in the real world. And over time, we were able to do some tracking and measurement and all the things that didn't exist in the industry at the time, and provide more results for our clients.
You know, first time by the way, it's always interesting. You started off in logistics and trucking. You saw an opportunity. You turned it into a completely different business. Love those stories. Some of the best ideas come from that kind of almost accidental, just epiphanies that show up. First time I ever saw Rolling Adz, and it may or may not have been your stuff, was in Las Vegas. Man, they were everywhere. I used to do a lot of work with professional motorsports race teams, and we would be in Las Vegas twice a year for the races, and you would see these rolling billboards. So are your trucks, are they actually billboards? Or are they actually trucks that have ads on them, or is it both?
So they're a mixture of both. And I think everyone always thinks we're like the showgirls trucks, and
well, I wasn't going to go there, but
that's usually what people recognize them as, or think they are, and we don't actually, from a integrity standpoint, we don't those. But yeah, so they're everyday moving vehicles. So like your last mile delivery, almost like your Amazon vehicles that deliver to your home. So we advertise on those, and really we're like the matchmakers. So we have literally hundreds of thousands of routes all across the country. And so when we have a client that comes to us and they have this certain avatar who they're going after, and it could even be in a gated community because we have delivery routes that go to those gated communities and we have access to them. So we're really just matching the vehicles with the right advertisers, and then having the tech elements behind all that.
That's great. So there, in a lot of cases, they're not even the vehicles that you own. They're vehicles that other people own, and you're basically renting out the space. It's like a billboard. And then there's probably some kind of rev share that goes on there. That's a great model. Yeah, I like that. So 14 years ago. So tell me about the journey. So what's probably the biggest takeaway as a business entrepreneur, founder, CEO, president, and all the other things you do that you've knowledge that you've gained in that 14 years, something you would share with somebody who might be starting out?
It's a roller coaster. It's not easy. I think everyone like over glamorifies entrepreneurship now and being your own business owner, but seeking help, being humble, being the dumbest person in the room, is probably one of the best advice I can give. It's just learn. I think in the beginning, or at least for me, I had a bigger ego. I was like, oh, I could do this all myself, and you just can't. You need a team, and fortunately now we have just an awesome team, and been able to take a step back and trust people and let them take the lead. And everyone in our company is taking the model of extreme ownership, and they own their departments, and it's nice to be able to see the business grow that way, and have an awesome team, and be able to reciprocity, let everybody kind of earn the fruits of the wins too.
No, that's, it's interesting too, because I really believe, and I learned this the hard way. I spent 30 years from a biblical standpoint, wandering the desert by myself, trying to figure out how to run a business and do life, but, without asking for help. Because I grew up thinking only weak men ask for help. Only weak leaders who admit they don't know what they're doing. And the reality is it takes a lot of courage. And the hardest thing I've had to do as an owner is to humble myself to ask my team for help. But the greatest thing I ever did was asking for help and letting other people do it, even if they would do it differently than I would have done it. It doesn't mean it was wrong. It just means it was different. And wow, it changed my life. So great advice. I think this ask for help and surround yourself with people smarter than you. I always like to be the dumbest guy in the room because that means I'm in the right room.
Yeah.
And so, no, cool advice. I mean, we all heard that before, but I love to hear it from the mouth of somebody who's actually living it. So, so if you go back now, let's go back to like when you started the business. Compare when you started it, kind of what your vision was for the business compared to like when you look back on the business now. What was like one of the biggest aha moments, things that you didn't anticipate that you didn't see back then that you see now?
I mean, in the beginning, I thought everyone wanted to advertise in these huge semis, and it was like, no, they want to be local. And so we're a nationwide company. I mean, we do everything across the country, but every campaign we do is local. And so and then in the tech side of things, I talk about a trucking background, but 90% of our company is actually tech at this point. So to go from trucking to basically building a whole tech company has been pretty cool. But that all came from just learning from our clients. And when our clients wanted to do a short-term campaign because there's an event and it didn't make sense to wrap a box truck and take a guy off a route for a handful of days and put him back on and then rip the ad off, it's like, oh, when we utilize these digital trucks that we have or advertise on rideshare cars that can circle around this area. So it was always an element of learning from our clients. What do they want? And just pushing into that.
So, no, absolutely. I get the sense that there's a lot of business to consumer clients that you work with. Is that true? Or is B2B, B2C kind of a mixture?
We're a B2B company for sure.
Okay.
But our clients are business to consumer.
Well, that's what I meant. The clients that use your trucks, your advertising are focused. You talk about locals and neighborhoods. It sounds like that would be for companies that are business to consumer oriented. Mm-hmm. Is there a play there for B2B companies, people that sell to other businesses?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's definitely, we see that a lot with like in the conference and the like event space for sure. So it could be a financial advisors all at one space, and a new brand wants to make a splash in front of them, and we'll bring our vehicles outside there, capture all the data, and then start retargeting for the next 3 to 6 months.
So, yeah, okay, cool. That's good to know. So everyone talks about AI. So how does AI impact your business?
Yeah, I talked to a gentleman the other day, and he's very respected, and he's like, AI is a means to an end, but the end is just revenue. And so all you're doing with AI is you're augmenting old data and making it usable again. And we just had a 3-day all hands meeting. We flew in everybody from our company because we're all across the country now, and it's one of the days was a conversation around AI and how that we're going to implement that into our company and have been implementing that. But it actually all stems from our SOPs. So it doesn't matter if it's Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever that language model is or AI model is, there's got to be an SOP attached to that. And like, this is how we run the business. And, going back to my younger self, I wish I would have did more SOPs in the beginning instead of just grinding and trying to make some money. And so that's something we've been really perfecting. We've got our whole company into one system, but yeah, building the SOPs out, making sure it's it has the result we want it to do, and then we're scaling it that way. But
Yeah.
that's majority of how AI is playing in it, and it's cool. We've actually developed. We partnered with a company and developed an AI just to like look at creatives. So when someone does an ad, like how effective the ad is going to be before it even goes like live in the real world. And so that's been super helpful for a lot of clients too.
Yeah. So, we talked about the past a bit. The thing about the future, what is it about, what's one thing about the future that scares you?
Um, it's interesting. I mean, AI, I think in general, like most people, like it's been the hot topic and everything. And one of my business coaches, he's like, I'm training my kids on how to utilize AI, and I'm also teaching them on how to, real world in the woods survival. So, like, I think there's the two different dynamics there. Um, it's interesting. Like, I mean, we advertise on moving vehicles across the country, right? And so, you talk about autonomous vehicles, you talk about, autonomous delivery vehicles. Like, is that going to take us out of the business? Absolutely not. We've been a very innovative company. And so, with that, what I actually look like is I get excited about it because I see us, a vinyl that's going to go on the side of the vehicles that is digitized. And so, as you're in different markets and zip codes and areas, there's going to be a programmatic approach where you're going to be able to change that ad to the demographic in which is in front of those vehicles at that time. Super excited for that. And that's actually some of the stuff that we're actually building out already on the back end of just in preparation for that. And how does this continue to scale into that? So, yeah.
When you're talking about the business, I got this instant visual of the movie Blade Runner, where you had all these autonomous vehicles with all these LED signs and all kinds of advertising everywhere. Is that kind of where you're going with this? I mean, is your goal to have flying vehicles and autonomous vehicles and advertise every square inch, or is it something different?
There's an element to like advertising fatigue too. And so I think, and this is interesting so our space is actually called the out of home advertising space. So it's anything outside your home. So billboards, bus ads, transit ads, anything like that. What you're seeing a lot is these billboards that were static, and once a vinyl static that's always getting seen is now a digital ad it has 8 other people that are advertising on it. So the effectiveness isn't there anymore. And you're just flashing, you're just flipping ads all the time versus having one ad that's always up there. But even there's an argument to that ad, eventually you'll get ad fatigue or you'll just block it out too. So what we do is having something in motion captures your attention, and we can put ads on different sides of the vehicles. So it could be the same brand, but a different message. And so you're actually sparking ad curiosity every time you see it.
Yeah, I would imagine, like you said, advocates at some point it's so much that people just start to tune it out, right? The mind can't handle that kind of information overload. So that's got to be an ongoing challenge. Maybe it's an opportunity to utilize AI to understand what works, what doesn't work, do analysis, localize messaging, things like that. So it sounds like a fascinating space compared to the old put up a billboard and see if, a static billboard and hope that you get a bunch of impressions over the course of a month, and then it turns into business. Of course, it's hard to measure and difficult to quantify the return on investment, but sounds like you've sophisticated this, or you've made this a more sophisticated approach.
And we had to for that reason, because like when I started this, the out of home companies really didn't look at us as a means, and then digital was a whole different ball game. And so we were this like redheaded stepchild that didn't really know where we placed ourselves, and we used to call ourselves Rolling Adz mobile billboards because they only did associate us with like the billboards in Vegas.
Right.
But it's been cool to see that in 14 years to spearhead it, and we've had some of the biggest brands in the country work with us, and so it's been really, really cool to see that.
All right, cool. One last question about the business, and then we're going to pivot to something else. So what's one thing about your business behind the scenes that people would be surprised to learn about, something that they don't know that is a kind of a surprise when people find out about it?
A lot of people think we're just a wrap company. So they just think, oh, we wrap vehicles for clients and just put them on the road. And they don't realize that that we're able to actually grab your cell phone signal and retarget you online. And I do this a lot with like, a lot of people don't realize this either, but we do it a lot with like home service businesses. We do a ton of HVAC and plumbing and roofing companies because they already understand the value of wrapping a vehicle. Like most of these guys already wrapped. They have hundreds of vehicles that they already have wrapped, but they don't know. And they're like, oh, people call off it or they see our vans and things, but they don't understand like how to really monetize off of that. And so when we're able to double down in a neighborhood that they're doing installations on, it just takes we're almost guaranteeing a 3x ROAS on that side of things.
Cool. Well, I'm guessing you and I can talk for hours about
Yeah.
this. We don't have hours. Let's pivot. I've got a little surprise. I didn't tell you about this for the
Okay.
reasons I wanted it to be fresh. I'm going to do something called the lightning round. You've seen it before. It's just quick questions, quick answers. It's meant to be fun. So just no wrong answers here. But when you're ready, we'll get started. Cool. A simple softball question: coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. How about cats or dogs?
I'm a dog person, but my cat probably identifies more as a dog. So,
So cats, dogs, and cats that identify as dogs. Cool. That's what I heard.
but
All right. Serious question. If you can only grab one weapon right before the zombie apocalypse breaks out, what would it be?
I have a 300 blackout that I love. It's short barrel and fast, and you got a 100-round clip for
There
it.
you go. It's got some stopping power to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me AR-15. I'm like, I've got one. Make a lot of noise, not good stopping power.
No.
Somebody else told me their laptop, and I laughed. I'm like, good luck with that. Okay, if you can only have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably read minds.
That's a good one. Favorite movie or streaming series that you would recommend to people?
I really don't watch much TV. We did watch Yellowstone. Yellowstone was really good. I like that.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, I don't watch much either, but for those of us that don't watch much, these recommendations are powerful because nothing worse than wasting your time watching something to find out it's not that good. How about a book? Favorite book that you recommend?
Oh, depends on the category. Everything I read is usually business oriented or self-help. Like one of my business coaches is Dan Martell. So Buy Back Your Time is probably one of the biggest ones recently that's
Okay.
changed a lot of things.
Good, good. How about favorite quote or saying, something that inspires you, motivates you?
I'm a Bible reader, and so most proverbs I like to just find a proverb every morning and just kind of read on that and meditate on that. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Good. But that explains why you don't do the showgirl billboards. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Bucket list item you've already accomplished.
I've been very blessed in my life, and so yeah, just being able to have a business for 14 years. I mean, the average business goes out of business in what, 3 to 5. So
Yeah,
that, and we've blessed a ton of people because of the business. So it's
that's awesome.
one of the best accomplishments. I think is just we kind of had that epiphany the other day when we were at our all hands meeting. It was like, man, look how many people we've actually helped throughout all these years. So it's really cool.
That's when it's all said and done, and you hear the words "good, well done, my good and faithful servant." That's the stuff that makes a difference. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. So the gate's open, right? So
that's right. That's right. It's all about eternity. So what about the bucket list item you haven't accomplished yet?
I mean, from a like philanthropy standpoint, we want to help sponsor 100,000 orphans, me and my wife. And I love helping people in entrepreneurship. So if I can help the person that's 10 years younger than me or 10 years where I was, I really find passion in that. So just teaching them all like I said, like the ego thing and the trying to do everything yourself and all those lessons that I went through. If I can teach somebody that, just help them go through those times they don't have to go through and learn from my experiences, then yeah, that's where I want to play.
Awesome.
And ultimately, I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, young kids, and I just want to be the best dad and husband I can be to my family.
That's a great bucket list item. It's something we have to work on for the rest of our lives. So I always tell husbands and dads, you only have to work on it for the rest of your life. After that, if you do it right, you'll be good for eternity.
I woke up this morning, I had 2 kids in my bed, my wife's on the other side, yeah, 2 and a 4-year-old. So it's not much sleep, but it's just enjoying those moments because there's going to be a day where they're not going to be young and going to
Trust me. Yeah, they move out and then you miss them. So enjoy it. Last question, biggest obstacle you've ever had to overcome personally. And what's one takeaway, one big lesson you learned?
Visit, I guess, obstacle. Boundaries, I would say. I really have a bleeding heart for a lot of people. And one thing I've been taken advantage of a lot of times in my life because I've been a yes man and just wanted to help people, and to the point where like people then will just take advantage of you. So that was one of my biggest obstacles, and you get stabbed in the back at a certain point when they can't take anything more from you at that point, and then they steal or something. So definitely learned some lessons there. In delegation, obstacles, setting standards, and holding people to their standards is one thing I've definitely had to learn the hard way.
That's about them. That's not about you. So that don't go changing, as Billy Joel wrote a song about once. Okay, great, cool. Well, that's all the time we have. Let's talk about that free offer that you had and make sure that people know how to get in touch with you. So what do you have?
Yeah. So a lot of people have never done mobile advertising before, and a lot of people they're focused on just doing digital and things, and there's definitely a fatigue there, and so there's a really cool out of home element to advertising in the real world, and then that psychological element of they see something real in the real world and they get retargeted online and they click on that ad. And so what we do, and a lot of people want to make sure they get ROI, is they want to see like how many impressions am I going to get and everything. And so we actually have built out of all the data and all the studies and agencies we worked with, we put together a whole impression calculator for clients. So just to get the idea of like, okay, if I do a mobile billboard campaign or want to advertise in cars at this event, what am I going to get? And what's my ROI? We've built a whole calculator for them to just basically plan and start, putting together ideas to what a moving out home campaign can look like for them.
Cool. And what's the best way for them to reach out to you to get that? And if somebody wanted to reach out to you just to find out more about the business and opportunities, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, our company is Rolling Adz, so it's ROLLING ADZ. Didn't have the money to buy it with the S when I first started, but we do own that one now. But yeah, so go rollingadz.com, and then if you mention this podcast, we'll give you a free impression calculator.
Awesome, great. Well, listen, Jonathan, appreciate your time. What a great story, and appreciate you sharing some things and being on the podcast. So listen, folks, I encourage you, reach out to Jonathan. I think you'll be pleased with, especially if you're looking to get some exposure for your business. And by the way, we just learned Jonathan's a really good guy. So there are not enough of those good guys out there. So he's one of the good ones. So Jonathan, thanks. And we're going to definitely stay in touch with you.
Appreciate having me. Thank you again.